Welcome to Divine Dose, a life beyond your drunken dreams, life on purpose and empowered, a spiritually intoxicating space where we let spirit-led people who want more in to live a hot, holy, and whole life. Today on the Divine Dose podcast, holy moly, we have Judy Check. I am so grateful that you're here. 32 years in recovery, celebrating huge milestones this month of November, rocking the coaching industry, leading Transformation Tuesday for 5 years every week. Oh my gosh. And spearheading meditation that I've gotten to join early in the mornings. That has been such a warm place for so many hearts. Leading, this beautiful path for sober folks. You're not only that, you're a mother, a grandmother, and living your best life, getting out on the water in your kayak, exploring the world, spreading joy. And I mean, this woman is just epic. Came and blessed the stage of the Sober Summit and totally rocked it. I had a transformation. That is for certain. Oh my gosh. Here to bestow her wisdom and magic.
Woohoo! Hi, Rachel. Oh my God. I have to tell you something really quick.
Yeah.
You know, you send me these emails and you say, hello, hottie. Wow, nobody's called me that in a while. I totally enjoy that. Just wanted to tell you that.
Love it. It's something that's so fun for me because I often feel like I say this a lot, and I say like some sobriety sometimes misses the sexy, spirituality sometimes misses the embodiment. So it's like, can we bring it all together and can we do it all?
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are so grateful to have you here, especially during what some of my spiritual community calls the Bermuda Triangle, which is what they say Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And
Okay.
you're going to be bringing us just this download to kind of anchor us into this state of joy, because you've been doing this not, one day, but many days in a row. And so for those of us who are new, or for those of us who sometimes, got to hang in and hang on,
Right.
yeah, this is going to be our kind of buckle up, but anchoring into that state of faith and really establishing ourselves in a state of spirit-led guidance. And right before this conversation, I'd love for you to share what you had recently heard about driving at night, and maybe you can share
Oh,
what that is.
oh yeah. Well, I was at Unity of Wimberley, down in Wimberley, where I drive through the hill country down there on a ranch to go to a service. And the minister had come out of retirement to do this service. And she's such a good friend of mine, many, many years in recovery and recovering from cancer. And she was talking about how she's been thinking about death recently. Great. And then she decided, because it's what we think about, we bring about. So if you're going to call this Bermuda Triangle, like, oh, guess what? You're going to get Bermuda Triangle. Woo! So what you think about, you bring about. And then at the very end, I just love it. She's like of a certain age, like I'm, right? Where she just tells it like it is. And at the end, and it wasn't a recovery meeting, it was a service. She says, okay, anyone out there who's dealing with addiction, you have any kind of alcohol, drugs, you think you control another person or everything, time to find recovery meetings. And then she said, because addiction is like driving at night without your headlights on. Recovery is when we're turning the headlights on, and you can only see a certain amount of time ahead of you in the lights, and go to the edge of the light you see, and more light will be revealed. So I think when you want to call it this Bermuda, it's like, oh, this is a fearful time. What if we can control our thinking? And what if this is the most glorious time of your life? You don't know if you're going to have a week. You don't know if you're going to have a Thanksgiving or Christmas. And that's where bringing it into one day at a time, one moment at a time, 5 minutes at a time. And there's always something that you do have with you, and that's your breath. Pause when agitated or doubtful, right? Right? And when we take a deep breath in, and that resets your energy, and look around what the beauty is right here, right now. This is so fun, and I did not know that, and I was at a meeting last night, and okay, yes, I might have accumulated many days, many years. Every day I wake up is a sacred day. Every day I have an opportunity to ask God, who am I to see today? Who am I to meet today? Period. And when you live like that, so much unfolds. So yeah. It's so important. I feel. Let's see, being the light, and we can't. And it's not necessarily being the light. Okay, I'm like this all the time, because we're not. And when we go out there, sometimes we're the light. Sometimes we are not the light, and we can pick up the phone, find a meeting. Just for me, it's getting out in nature, like, okay, and breathe and go, okay, it's one day. Releasing the past and knowing that now is the only moment. Now, now, now. Yeah. So I guess I can go on and on and on about that. But yeah, last night I was at a meeting and it was a newcomer was coming in, which that's why meetings continue. Are people keeping coming in? This is the time of year, boom, that triangle, that many people crash, relapse. Um, it's a I want to get away from saying the trigger. There's something about that word that doesn't resonate with me anymore. It's the opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for growth time of year. Opportunity to take all that we've learned in recovery out there. Another person said, it doesn't matter how many meetings you go to and be la 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 in the meetings. It's what we do out there in practicing these principles and all of our affairs. So yeah, I'm going back to when I was talking to this newcomer, and he was great. It was like, it was a dad, and he had just dropped his son off at an AA meeting, which, like, over on the other side, the LR goes, oh, we're going to have our kids get sober so that we could feel better. I shouldn't laugh. That's what I was doing too. And and then he said what he was doing is he'd drop his son off, and then he would walk around and walk around, worry, anxiety, and fear are addicting. They kill a lot more people than drugs and alcohol. Your worry, doubt, and fear. Yeah, look at all the people who have strokes, who are driving in worry and they crash their cars. They might not have a drop of alcohol or drugs in them, but they're in intense worry and fear. So anyway, this dad was saying, and I love it. If you're in meetings, go introduce yourself to everybody there. So I went over and I was talking to this dad, and he said something about, wow, I'm learning so much about myself. I'm like, yeah, your son's okay. Learn about yourself. These 12 steps are for everything. And I said, okay, here's the deal. I've been through many, many holiday seasons. Boom, boom, boom. It seems to be a pattern that I see over time. And then I got to be like, I was thinking about being a wise ass a little bit, right? That there's the pre-game, the game, and the post-game. The pre-game meetings are when people are attracted to a whole lot of meetings, trying to figure out, how am I going to make it through? Going to be around my family. They drive me nuts. If I'm sober, they're going to be watching everything I do. The pregame, and then you get prepared, right? In that fear, and that draws, that a lot of people are at meetings right now because we're in the pregame season. And then there's the game day, the actual day of Thanksgiving and Christmas, where all your tools, that's where we're using the tools, and it's okay to excuse yourself. There are meetings 24/7 in Austin. There are Thanksgiving dinners. There are holiday things. Out of here at Hope Group, they have a meeting every 2 hours all through the night. Yeah. And that's the game day. I once went to a meeting over at Bristol Shore. I think it was at a Thanksgiving while ago, and I thought I was going to be the only one there, right? And there was a guy outside walking around looking for a meeting, and it was just him and I, and he was newly sober, and he goes, I put the meat on the grill. I got it going. Everybody's drinking around me, and I just had to I had to get away.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
real quick meeting, and then he went back. But it was like that connection, connection, connection. So anyway, that's the game day, and then there's the post holiday meetings where people come in and then they talk about what tools they used or they didn't use. There's no mistake that January is the biggest month for people to come in because they get sent by the courts, right? All that stuff. So it's the post meeting, but it's so interesting. So if you're going to meetings now, just watch for that and knowing that it is one day at a time, that there is like this heightened sense of, if you go outside, it's a heightened sense of the stars and the moons. It's that season of light in the darkness. And what if you were the light that people are yearning to see? What if that is practicing these principles in all of our affairs? And you don't have to be like, blah. The light is a calm light inside, an energy. And I know you know this is, it's all energy. And what if, let's just say it's December 31st? Oh, yeah, that's another holiday. New Year's, right? It's not holiday. Oh, yeah, that's right. What if at the end of 2025, you put yourself in a vision right now and you look back at this time and you noticed when you were challenged and you noticed that you opened up the book, all the readings, and you used that, and it not only got you through, but you realized that you are changing. So much of the time in January, we pick like, oh yeah, it's all going to be new and stuff for the whole year, right? What if you went back to those commitments that you made in January 2025?
Mm.
You know, what is so, anyway, that's a long story for a short question.
I love it. No, yeah, it's like a lot of people and the listeners are coming from all these different backgrounds, and so to be able to hear that there is a community and a space, and then for those of us who maybe have forgotten that those rooms and those places exist during that time, that here's that permission slip, because I remember my first sober Thanksgiving, and because I got sober in October. So it was pretty quick off the bat, and my family, I'm from Michigan, and was not ready to leave Austin. I was not ready to go anywhere for over a year and a half. I didn't leave the city of Austin. And some people may say, well, that's not why you got sober, but I did what I had to do. I chose my chosen family. When my chosen family at the time was a meeting at Cherry Creek, and there were probably about 100 people there on Thanksgiving. 100 people. There was food, and they were playing soccer in a shopping center parking lot. That was my first Thanksgiving sober. And I'm so grateful for that, and then for gosh, 4 years after that, every year I every Thanksgiving I was at a meeting house volunteering, serving food. And then even on Christmas, I remember there was the big power outage in Austin right in the holidays. And I'm like, I didn't have, my power didn't go out. So I'm like, well, God bless, I'm going to go be of service. So it was just so cool to see the difference of how I was now spending my time serving others. Because when I did that, I didn't have time to think about what wasn't working. I didn't have time to think about the next day or the future. Like you said, like I just saw the lights in front of me. I saw the people in front of me that I was there to serve. And I went to bed and I felt good. I went to bed with this sense of that like satisfaction, like appreciation and truly actually feeling the spirit of what these holidays are actually there for, which is before I did not feel that. Before it was like sneaking blow into the bathroom and hopefully no one caught me, but oopsies, maybe I left my baggie. Oh, like, oh, that was terrible. I just wanted to numb out so much that I couldn't feel. And then the whole change of it actually became, can I just be so present with something other than myself, that I don't have to think about the fear and the worry and the doubt that you're talking about, which is so dangerous.
Fear, worry, doubt brings resentment, and we're resentment of others. But for me, it's mostly resentment of myself.
Mm.
And that's when I go to meetings, I go to different communities that I belong to, and I reminding me
Mm.
that I am human. I think we say it's a human having a spiritual being, having a human existence. And that's where, like, oh, yeah, there's this human timeline we're on. Thank God we're human, right? And there's also this spiritual connection that we can access at any moment in time. And the only place you can change is in the now.
Mm.
You know, I've been in a lot of meetings and a lot of different things where, like, well, yeah, I'm gonna get sober next week. Or it's like, you know, and I just want to just until I made a decision, that's step 3, to turn my life, over to the care of God as we understand God or higher power. Nothing changed. In fact, I really do like to be a victim. I could always find people for my victimhood, right?
Mhm.
And that's where, like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, yeah, have me another drink. Yeah, it's all blah, blah. And then, man, I feel so rotten for the next. And like, oh, and that's why this being a real, if you wanted to know about this change, become as committed as you can to the words that you're using.
Mm.
Our words matter. Our words matter. And so there's a whole list of words on my wall. I
Mm.
have common hour words that everybody use, and then the other brave thinking words that keep
Mhm.
me centered. And the first one is I need to. When you say I need to, that's coming from fear.
Mm. Mm.
I need to do this. In other words, you're only doing it because some outside force is telling you to do this.
Mm.
Right? So watch that word and neediness. I need them to get sober, or I need to get sober to please my parents, or I need to, that's a neediness. Now, the brave thinking, I call it brave thinking, the recovery thinking.
Mm.
I would love to.
Mm.
And to me, and for people that I hang with long term sobriety, there's no saying we're going to have another day tomorrow.
Mm.
Is this whole development of this higher power, this source, this spirit over time, that to me is love.
Mm.
That vibration, if the vibration word need is down here, low vibration fear. The vibration of love, I would love to, is up here. It's, oh, I would love to.
Mhm.
Like, I need to go to Thanksgiving to please my folks or to show them I'm sober. That's fearful.
Mm.
I would love to go to Thanksgiving and do the dishes or praise the stuffing that you've had a million times. I would love to be the person of service
Mm.
in those situations that before are one way, and you can't change another person, especially if you're the one out there and they're like watching you like a hawk, expecting you to be like you were last year. And you're trying so hard to show them you've changed. What if it wasn't hard? What if you just went in there full of love, praying before you go in, and how can I be of service? And then if it gets dicey or you feel like the toxicity is getting there, you can take a deep breath and just excuse yourself. Go to the bathroom, make the phone calls. You don't have to stay. You know what? It's up to you. And you'll know how long to stay or not by your connection with your higher self, your spirit. You'll know. So it's need,
Mhm.
I would love. The second one is I have to.
Mm.
I have to go to meetings. No, you don't. The changing that I have to I get to.
Mhm.
We live in a time, especially in Austin, there are so many meetings at any time for anybody. I went to Akron this summer where everything started back with Dr. Bob, and Bill. And I mean, there was like one meeting, maybe. Here's the cool thing about going to Akron and seeing where it all started. In Dr. Bob's house, was where the first meetings were. They would go, like the people would come in. They could not go to a meeting until they went to the upstairs bedroom and surrendered.
Mm.
On your knees, surrender. And then they were allowed into the meetings.
Oh, wow.
Right. because everybody's just trying to, it was like that was. And now, I mean, and that really struck me as
Mhm.
like, no, the people in the meetings are not going to give up on you, but you have to do your part.
Mm.
So anyway, I get it. Okay, here's another. Here's I'm just going to read down my little list, right? Another common hour word that you're going to hear is it's hard, it's tough, right? So here's the three words to put up. Up until now, it was hard and it was tough.
Ooh, that's good.
Up until now. Now I go with grace and ease.
Mhm.
You and I talked about that word grace. Extra grace required. Extra grace is required is for all the other times of the year as well. Extra grace required. If you go out, it is extra dark right now, right? And it's the season of the light, like, yet, and you'll see lights lit up everywhere in the darkness, This is the people are lighting candles. Extra grace required. And if it's hard and tough, you're going to put out the energy of hard and tough.
Mhm.
If it's ease up until now, and remember, now is the only time you can change. Now I go out with ease and grace, knowing that you're connected to a source much more powerful than any Bermuda Triangle, than any
Mhm.
holiday. Keeping connection. For me, the only way to do that is having a human person to remind me,
Mm.
a mentor. And we can't force people into meetings, that's for sure. What if you're the only meeting that they see?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really way cool.
I love that. I love that. Up until now, it was hard, and now I go out with extra ease and grace.
Yeah, you were talking about grace before.
Yeah.
Giving yourself grace.
Yes, I would really love because, it's like when we remove the substance, then as our program, says, it's like, then we're left with this thinking, right? And that we find out that like their thinking is what led to the drinking. And then sometimes, and I had another woman on this podcast who talked about this, but like how sometimes, we remove that drinking or remove the drugging, but then all of a sudden, other processes come in, other forms of trying to escape, of trying to fix, of trying to manage, of trying to control come in. And it takes us out of that ease and puts us back into that worry, that doubt, that fear, that scarcity, or their reactions to the worry, the doubt, the fear. And so grace, I'm starting to find is almost it's saving grace, but just like surrender, right? And I want us to get into this because they're kind of very fluffy and things that you see on like a little wood board that says grace hanging above your toilet, like, oh, how nice. But like, what is it really? Like, what is it to walk in grace, to live in grace, to be sober in grace, to be drug and substance free in grace, to be living in a life of, yeah, what does it mean?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. And it reminded me of going to meetings in my variety and listening to those old timers, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you're going to say that same thing over. I can't hear him say it again, right? And there was an old timer. One of my friends is, man, we hung around long enough that we're the old timers that people are like regretting we're going to say that again. And there was this old timer that said, every meeting is surrender.
Ooh.
Every time we go to a meeting, we're surrendering. And like maybe we're not surrendering when we're out here in the world. We can get into a meeting, take a deep breath in, and surrender. Boy, that just takes like I surrender into this uncontrollable urge to use. I surrender. Then you hear the stories of people who have surrendered. I mean, you'll hear stories of people who surrendered after killing people in their car. They didn't mean to, but they're one of my favorite speakers is a woman who went over the 360 bridge and hit someone head on and killed them. And she was in jail. She was in prison where she really surrendered. And guess what? That's where people who take meetings to the prisons and jails, that's where she found recovery. And maybe we can't find it out here because we're so crazy trying to please everybody and please ourselves and blah. And then boom. And, she's like a very powerful speaker, by the way, and what she does now with her life, because every single thing that you've ever done in your life has brought you right here. Whether we call it a good or bad, it just is. So it's acknowledging the challenge. Surrendering is neutralizing it. It's not good, it's not bad. Now, after years of recovery, we could look back at that, bottom and finally call it was the best thing that happened. Not at first, right? Acknowledging the challenge, neutralizing is the second step. It's not good or bad. The third one is finding the possible good. In other words, out here in Williamson County, the police possible good. Like if you don't want to get busted out here. Well, I mean, they're hard. But you know what? Now, after years, I am really grateful for the police out here. I could feel safe. Okay, so activate the good. In fact, the Hope Group out here, the brand new Hope Group in a beautiful new building, is right across the street from the police department. In fact, at the groundbreaking for the grounds, police were there. They were so grateful that there's a recovery center here. That and the whole community was showing up like, thank God there's a center. Activate the good.
Activate the good.
Is number 4. And the 5th is very important. Keep calm, grateful. Gratitude. Gratitude. So if you get busted, be grateful that you're being busted. That you haven't killed anybody, you haven't killed yourself yet. The other thing, during the last 2 years, I've been to way, way too many funerals in support of the moms who've lost their kids. And so we're there for the moms. And I am so grateful. And these are, I don't mean kids, but these are children, and the parents are going, what did I not do to save? So here's the 5 steps. Acknowledge the challenge. In other words, acknowledge it, surrender it. The second one, neutralize it, surrender. It's not good or bad. God's got you right where you're supposed to be. 3, find the possible good. Well, at least I'm in a meeting. Whatever. Activate the good. Go talk to other people at the meeting. They've heard it all, believe me. And then keep calm and grateful that there are people out there who've dedicated their entire lives to recovery, to seeing it. Because, as long as you're still breathing, you still have a purpose here, girl. I tell that I'm like going to a tree meeting, like I think I met you, and there's a lot of women there of a certain age. I call myself, right? Well, we're still breathing, so we have purpose.
And this is something that I'm hearing too, because this is so relevant for anybody at any point in time in the recovery journey. 20 years, 5 years, like it feels like there's there's like seasons within the seasons. There's like the seasons on the external, like like the world, the winter and summer, and then like the different stages I feel in my recovery I notice are very similar each year. But then there's also these seasons in life, right? There's I was in my 20s when I got sober, and now I'm in my 30s, and it's a different season, right? Like in my 20s, I was kind of like, okay, I do this and do that, but then now I'm like, I'm 30, and now I want to get a cat, and maybe I want things that are more grounding, and like things that I wasn't maybe ready for then. So it's like there's just these different seasons, and so everything that you just talked about, I'm thinking like, I mean, we go through these all the time. Like there's seasons in business, and then I get to apply, all of what you just shared, those 5 things, like acknowledge, oh wow, I didn't do what I wanted in that quarter in business, or wow, now I wanted to do something different, but I'm feeling challenged by the growth because I don't know what's on the other side. And then it's like to be able to start to trust that change and trust the growth. And because growing, I remember years ago, you gave me a book during the holidays, like you came over and you gave me that notebook and it said, keep growing on it. But growth is not always comfortable, growth in our relationships, growth in our health, growth in our family dynamics, growth in things that I don't want to look at, but we get to keep looking at this stuff and peeling back those layers of the onion, so to speak. So yeah, all of that really applies, because it's like I get to have a whole new dynamic. And it's like, and I'm still, 5 years in, and I'm still repairing some of my relationships, like,
Oh
it's
yeah.
just it.
Oh, I love what you just said there as perfect. It's a and what I call in my coaching business the green growing edge. So I just took my clients through a little way cool little exercise where if you want to just real quick,
Yeah.
okay, you take a piece of paper
Mhm.
and fold it in half, put it like a hot dog,
Okay.
right? And then open it up. And on the left hand side, write my life now.
Mm.
Just write the words there. And you don't have, and then we're going to doodle. Have to put words. It's hard, okay, just doodle your life now, right? Take about 15, 20 seconds to doodle your life now, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Whatever that looks like. Like my life now is I had a cup of coffee. This is my life now. Okay. All right. Now take a deep breath in. And you've opened up this piece of paper. And on the right hand side at the top, right, the life I would love. And just let yourself imagine like what it would be like to stay sober and present all the way through these holidays. The life I would love and what that would feel like. And just doodle like little pictures.
Mhm.
It's December 31st. Look at that. I would love to say that I have 30 more days of sobriety, or I would love to be celebrating New Year's. So yeah, just write it all down. I've got all kinds of funky stuff on mine.
So writing words or like just
No, yeah, doodle.
script?
I think it's easier for me to doodle than to write words.
I'm doing it on my phone, so this is
That's how I kind of got through school. Do not paying attention. Doodle, doodle. Okay. So then if you have this, then you have like open it up and you've got the life I would love, and then in between you have that crease in your paper, right, where you fold it. And right there where that crease is, that's your green growing edge. That's your like, oh, okay. And every time you come up to that green growing edge and do one act of kindness, one service work, you're moving that green growing edge into that beautiful life. And in recovery in life, the thing is to keep on the green growing edge. Go to more meetings, meet new people, meet newcomers, work with others. That's your green growing edge. Guess what? Your newcomer might really trigger something in you that needs to be looked at. Keeping on that green growing edge, and your visions of who you are in the world grow and grow and grow. And it's not an ego thing. We are here to serve each other. So I've done that exercise, I think about 5 or 6 times over the last week. Each time the life I would love gets way and way more cool. Because your mind is thinking like, oh, I'm just at the edge of my next becoming.
Mhm.
I'm at just the edge. So you celebrated 5 years in October, right? Hey, you're in your fifth year. No, yeah, you're in your sixth year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what? And then asking yourself that question, what would a woman who is in their sixth year be thinking?
Mhm.
What is that woman doing? Who is that woman being?
Mm.
If you're not growing in recovery, you're still back at year 1 and 2,
Mhm.
3 or 4, because we're always growing and on that edge. That's where the fun starts. You get to go out and take risks to meet other people, to take risks, to take a pie to one of those meetings, to take risks to be vulnerable and say, I don't know what I'm doing. I've
Yeah.
never been this age before.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm in a meeting with people who are in their 70s and 80s, right? Those,
Mhm.
I mean, they are wise women. I'm like, and they're still on their edge.
Yeah.
They've lost their husbands in many years. They've gone
Mhm.
through like kids who are in jail. They're still out there on their growing edge, and guess what? They're having a good time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when you had us do that exercise because earlier I know we were talking about surrender, we were talking about grace, but what I felt was after we did both what life was like, which was like black scribble, scribble, scribble. And then it was like, what do I want life to be? And it was like green, flowy, a rocket energy. And then you had us go to the middle. And it was something about when you had us go to the middle and write down life, that life I would love and those questions to ask. That's where I felt grace was on that edge. Cause it was that meeting ground of where I've been, what I've come from, what's been going on. But then it was like the loving vision of that capacity of God, to hold the vision, to let that other part of me meet each other. And that's where I felt grace. It's like, oh, these parts that I think are somehow, the hard part, but it's like, and then the easy part. But then when it just meets in that middle, that edge, it's like, that's where grace is. That's where forgiveness is. That's where love is. That's where surrender is. That's where that growth is. That's where it's like, oh, I can have that ease again, even when faced with the challenge, even when, you know, it's not the way I think it should be, but that I can still let the vision be held. So I really love that exercise because I think it was a really perfect example of grace.
Yeah. And we're always on our green growing edge. If
Mm.
you go out into the woods, out in nature, pine trees, there's this little green spot at the end of each branch, and it's a different color of green. And you can go out like there's some green there because nature is always on their green growing edge. We might look out and see the trees are about, they look like they're dead, but they are. They are growing inside their roots.
Mm.
Yeah, their commitment to keep growing.
Oh, I really love that. And it makes me think back to when I did live in Michigan, because now it's a little bit different here because we don't have like below freezing weather and very often in Austin, in the snow. But something that I recognized and I did want to kind of bring up, which was bringing back this like freedom. Ideally, we're doing this because I want to be free, right? I want to be free to be myself, to live in truth, to live in like the true me, the true love that lives, and has been just bestowed upon me. I want to be free to do that, free to give, free to love, free to choose, but also free to know what things I don't need to try and control and manage. And something about the winter season as we're heading into it is like I couldn't control the weather, right? But I could put on my snow boots and my snowsuit and warm up, put my mittens on and go outside and let the stillness be my teacher too, and that I feel as part of this surrender too is sometimes, like you said, the trees maybe in that time look like they were dying, but I could still feel this like deep sense of beauty in the pause, in the integration, in the allowing nature to reveal things to me. And I remember those times were so important for me to write because it's like we just went through all of this growth, all of this expansion, but then it's like, oh, can I just sit and be in it and let everything of all the edges and all the growth that I just be revealed. And so maybe speaking to that too as we're coming into this different season of what growth can look like even in pause, even in stillness, even in those moments where I say, well, maybe it's not more efforting, maybe it's more trusting, maybe it's more allowing, all the good and hard work that I have done to just to settle in and to be.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. What if growth is in the pause? Growth is not in the doing, doing, doing. Growth is in the pause and reflection and gratitude. The other word that you were saying is that this whole thing about free.
Mm,
I'm free in the pause.
yeah.
Because you're reflecting back as like, oh man, the snow boots and the angels. Did you make snow angels? I can see it. Yeah, all that stuff. So the other word that you use that I want to highlight is the word want.
Mm.
When and I just and I'm I'm always learning, right? I was like, and my mentors, whenever I say the word want, they stop me. Boom. Want is a word of lack, like you don't have it now. I
Mm,
want means I'm not going to be satisfied until this and this happens. So want is a word of lack.
ooh,
Okay, I want freedom.
mm,
So switching your thinking and brain around, I am free
mm,
right now.
mm,
In other words, I'm free in this moment. I am
mm,
free. I'm free to think what I'm free to choose a different thought.
mm,
I'm free. So interesting to watch. I'm free in the surrender.
mhm,
I think it's so interesting to watch people come in who have been sent there by the judge,
mhm.
getting their card signed, and fighting like they're not going to listen at all. They just want their card signed, right? I have a funny story about that. My daughter was down at 7-Eleven, and there was a guy in there getting a six pack, a beer. And then he put his green card on the counter for the guy behind the counter to sign. In other words, I got to get all these signatures and stuff. So, like, oh, yeah, well, I'm just going to get everybody to sign it. But I'm still going to do the deal. At any rate, it's like there's a difference between people who want
Mm,
sobriety and they're there and they're fully in the chair because they've got no other options. Boom. And they're taking notes and they're asking questions and they're being honest, total surrender. And that's when, boop, they're free. Boop, I am free. I want freedom. Okay, there's no right or wrong in any of this. It's all the process. I am free. I am free to admit my mistakes. I love it. I forget who it was. Um, I've I've made and continue to make many, many mistakes. However, I am not a mistake. Isn't that great?
that's
I
gross.
In other words, you're out there taking risks. You're risking to love another person. You're risking to talk to newcomer. And sometimes we make big mistakes by telling them what to do. Okay, I'm not a mistake, but I've made many mistakes. In other words, it gives you freedom to go out and try new things. I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to do 2 new things each day. In other words, probably going to make a mistake doing them, but I'm not a mistake. So I'm out there trying to do the do. I have a friend that says that. Wow. Yeah.
I really love that because it brings me back to a prayer that, gosh, I pinch myself if I forget to say it, but I try, every day. It's thank you, God, for keeping me sober today and loving it. It's not a asking, it's not a begging, it's an affirmative appreciation of what is. Thank you for keeping me sober today and loving it. And then it's true, and then it is. And thank you for that dialing us into it's not wanting freedom, it's living in the freedom. It's kind of like that moment I was struck sober. It was that line of wanting it and then all of a sudden being it. And then,
Scary, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, those first couple of days when you realize that it's scary because you don't know how to do it.
Oh,
We don't know how to live
yeah.
over. We know how to live the other way.
Hmm.
So each day you get to create it. What does sober life look like today for me? It's different for you than it is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said too, because I think sometimes too is like that's what keeps people away from trying the new, whether it's just getting sober or whether we got into a pattern in recovery, that is just not working for us anymore. Or, like I've had times in my recovery where something that worked all of a sudden didn't, and I had to try something new. And it was uncomfortable and it was scary and I got itchy and I felt weird and I felt, but the thing is, and I heard this in the rooms and I really like it, is so long as I'm trying to fit myself to be of maximum service and to live in alignment with the love or God or higher, whatever it is that I believe in, as long as I'm trying to live within that, then I can't really get it wrong. As long as I'm trying to do the deal. I'm doing the things. I'm putting love out there. I'm taking the actions and it's messy and whatever. But it's like, I can't really get it. We can't really get it wrong. And that's where that's grace, you know? And I think that's what you're exactly what you're saying is like, go do your scribbles and have the vision and then bring God into the scribbles and then grow and then pause in that space and let God fill in the gap. And like you were saying, yeah, making mistakes. You still make mistakes. It's like years, 3 decades in, you're not perfection, but that's not the point. And
No, no,
thank
no.
you for that reminder.
I love going to at Crested Butte Mountain Conference this year. I had the privilege of chairing the meeting on I've done it every year for 28 years, where we go on the hike up to the mountaintops, and we have a God as we understand Him meeting, and gratitude. And this year, a really dear friend of mine, Colonel Dan, he passed away 2 years ago. He's 90 something,
Oh my gosh.
and we spread his ashes on the mountaintop. So it was so cool, and he's been sober for many years, and I'm watching. I mean, the way he sponsored changed
Mm.
through the years too. And all these men, and I call them young men because just about anybody is younger than me, right? But we're all there, and women, and it was a celebration of his life. And his widow brought his ashes, but guess what she did? She took his ashes and she put them in individual little like baggies to spread out to all of his sponsees.
Oh my gosh.
And so we were up there, and the things they were saying about him, about when he called them on their stuff, and they, one guy said, well, he pulled me over and he said, yeah, you're doing the do in the rooms, but you're not doing it with your wife, so I'm going to fire you as a sponsee.
Oh my gosh.
But he didn't fire him. It's just like, oh, yeah.
Uh,
And it was him and his wife that brought this ashes because he was at the Colonel Dan's final breath. And his message to everyone, of dying with multiple years of sober or releasing himself to the next planet, whatever you want to call it,
mm,
was this. And I say this to everyone watching this: remain teachable. Remain teachable. And he would always say that. And he would sit in that chair with his cane, and he had a Vietnam vet hat on. You know what Colonel Dan's going to say? Every time he was in a meeting, it was like there was no cursing, because he would he says, you're not in a bar, you're in a sacred space. I mean, he pissed a lot of people off, but I admire him. But he would say, the other thing, he would hold out his hand like this, like that, shaking. And he says, the only prayer that you ever need to say is 5 words: God, I need your help.
mm,
5 word prayer. That's the only thing God, I need your help. And all these guys had the greatest stories, and they are staying sober, and they were up there to honor Colonel Dan, and they have ashes of him
aw.
to take. So that's what it means to be free. And a very powerful summer experience for me. And then coming down from the mountain, I realized that I've been changed, because I hang out with some of the most amazing people in the entire planet. And they are sponsoring people who I would never touch.
My gosh.
You know what I mean? Like the hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all hardcore, but I learned so much from the people that are in the rooms right now. And especially, I learned a lot. I learn a lot for every newcomer that comes in. It reminds me of the gift of desperation. God, gift of desperation.
Mm-hmm.
The God there. So,
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Judy, so much for bringing your prayers, your message, your exercises. I pray that everyone, pause this, go get out your paper and draw and scribble and write your two, fold your paper and find that edge, and then also seeing where this is where we choose freedom. Freedom from to freedom to be able to get to do things, to love to get to do things, to choose what is our truth. And if you're anything like me and you're in your early stages, maybe it does look like not going home yet and establishing that strong foundation. And sometimes it is in the pause that we find our truth and our freedom. You've been given that prayer to reach out to God to affirm the recovery, and your words carry the kind of weight only lived experience can give us. And it's so cool to hear someone who's been in the earlier stages and now you're in the later stages. Like, I've been doing the deal, and you get to see people who walk this all the way up to their last breath. And what a blessing, and what a testimony to, this stuff works, and not only works, but it then gets to touch the lives of others, and then they get to live free too, from it. What an amazing, legacy to lead, to live, and to leave. And so thank you so much for showing us that God and grace and surrender are all here for us, and that our words matter. Your presence here is the living amends, right? It's to every version of you that once wondered. And now you get to help those of us driving with the lights off to turn them on.
Oh, it's so funny. Right after that, I'm driving with my son, and I didn't have my lights on yet. It's like, oh, that's right. It's like, but for the grace of God, I heard that, like, turn the lights on.
Well,
Oh,
thank you so much on behalf of everyone at the Sober Summit, too. That was such an epic presentation. We loved you at the Sober Summit, and we cannot wait. I hope to see you in the live in person.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, thank you for your service, your spirit, and the way that you continue to show up as what's possible, not just for women, but for everyone walking this path of recovery who are multiple winners, in whatever room we're in. And we thank you for your commitment, Judy. You're such a blessing. Thank
Thank you for being you,
you.
because it's your generation that's going to continue this, and to all the generations to come and are yet to be born.
Mm.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Is there a prayer that you'd like to close us out on this Divine Dose podcast, and you can boop us over the head with your mystic, your magic, your miracle, anything that you'd like to say?
Yeah, let's go out with the we version of the serenity.
Okay.
God,
God,
grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change
the thing,
again,
and
and the
wisdom
wisdom
to
to know.
know. Thank you so much. We've been Divine Dose.